learned, which combines vocal tones, vowel sounds, and color visualization and color breathing. You visualize the colors of the chakras and breathe them in and out as you're toning these vowel sounds. So the first chakra is your the root of existence, your primal energy, spine, and the primal instincts. And the color of this chakra is red, and the vowel sound of this chakra is as in like a deep. In this particular, we're actually in the. And so these chakras also relate to musical notes. So we're going to go up the musical scale, the pentatonic scale, do, re. In each chakra, we're going to resonate and tone according to that musical note as well. So the next chakra is our passion, trust, intimacy, attachment. Chakra is the orange, and it has the tone, the vowel sound of O. The next chakra is your solar plexus chakra, which is in the center of your belly, below your heart. And it is the chakra of willpower, of your power over self, your beliefs, your feelings, your confidence. It is the sunshine chakra. And it is a yellow vibration. It's the color of yellow. And the chakra vowel sound, the ah, Now the next chakra, we're going to go over these again, is the place of love, compassion, devotion, harmony, peace, love, compassion. So it's the green of abundance, of new life, growth, but also the pink,
the sunset.
the pink, right, the pink of unconditional love, the peace, pink of compassion. So when you do this toning, you're going to use the same color for breathing in and out. But for the heart chakra, you're going to breathe in green and breathe out the pink red of love, of unconditional love. So it actually has two colors, interestingly enough. Then you go up to your throat chakra, which is a place of the voice, communication, feelings, thoughts, creative vocalization, speaking your truth. The color of this chakra is blue, and the vocal tone, the heart chakra vowel sound that we're going to chant is ah, as in many of the names of God actually have that vowel sound in it, have that tone. Krishna, Buddha, Rama, Ma, or F that we were talking about earlier. So the ah, it's F, the one that you were avoiding. You were doing the F sharp, remember? In the key of F. It's the heart chakra, yeah. So when you have crystal bowls and stuff that are tuned to the chakras, the F is the heart chakra bowl. So then you have, going up is your third eye. Oh wait, sorry, we were talking about the throat chakra. The throat chakra is blue, and the vowel sound, the tone of the throat chakra is the chakra of intuition, inner vision, higher insight, divine insight, the third eye, right? Imagination, willpower, concentration. Chakra resonates with the color of indigo. And vowel sound for the third eye chakra is in the second chakra. This time we're going to focus on the in the higher up in the resonates high in your, start to buzz in your head. And then the seventh chakra is our crown chakra, our sakshizion chakra, and it is the chakra of enlightenment, of cosmic rising. I mean, the idea of the kundalini is that the serpent is at the base of the spine and it spirals up and spins all the chakras, and then it releases, like the 1,000-petal lotus in our crown chakra. So the color of the crown chakra is like pure light. It's like hard to describe, what pure light is. It's just like the pure light of the divine, like the rays of the sunshine, the fire of heaven. I like to imagine the crown chakra as the violet flame. Now the tone or vowel sound for the crown chakra is E, as in glee. Because we're really getting into that joyful, gleeful energy up at the crown chakra, right? So we're gonna
like TV.
Right, exactly. It's also like the Hawaiians go
Yeah.
Get comfortable.
It's like they're sound mapping yourself.
And what you'll notice when you start doing these tones is you'll start to hear overtones too, which are octaves above and below the tones that we're making. Because we'll resonate, we'll sound and vibrate these tones for a few minutes, and you'll start, if you listen closely, you'll hear overtones, meaning tones that are octaves higher and lower, so that everything resonates in infinite levels. So there's infinite levels of lower frequencies that you can't even hear, but they exist. And same with the higher frequencies. So these overtones are naturally created through us toning together. And the more we resonate and tone the correct pitch and with resonant vibration, the purer these overtones will be. And what you can imagine is that these vowels, these tones, vibrations are resonating in higher dimensions and lower dimensions. So you're sending out these vibrations below and above and all around us, in this realm into different realms and dimensions, because they resonate. Right, it's already there, but we're vibrating, we're pulsating when we're vibrating like this. So we're like to the edge of the entire pond, right? So every time we tone together, we're like reverberating infinitely,
Yeah, so it's like healing of self and environment.
Yes. So now let's take a deep breath in together. And as you breathe in, you're going to breathe in the color, the red ray of the root chakra, coming out of the earth, going right into your root chakra. This red ray coming right out the earth. And as we breathe out this red ray back into Mother Gaia, Mother Earth. You can imagine it almost like the sound, the red sound. And it sounds like this. Take a deep breath in. Color orange. Imagine that orange ray arching up from the earth, going into your sacral center. And as you breathe out, you're breathing out once again that orange ray back into the earth. You breathe in and out the color of the orange ray, the healing accentuating the O. Breathe in that orange ray. Breathe out the powerful healing ray. Moving up to your solar plexus chakra, your inner sun, the yellow golden ray. Visualize the golden ray coming out of the earth. Over the horizon, the sun is rising and shining right into your solar plexus chakra. And as you breathe out that healing solar energy of the sun's rays to all, as we chant and tone together. Which became Amen for the sun god of the Christians, the Son of God. It's our Christ energy. Moving up to our heart chakra, we can visualize the green ray flowing into our heart chakra from over the horizon, directly straight into our heart chakra. And as we breathe out, we're filled with that green abundance. And as we breathe out unconditional love for all beings. And this chakra resonates the ah sound of many holy and sacred names. So remember, as you breathe in the green ray, breathe out the pink ray of unconditional love, Christ conscious love. Great Mother of Creation. Resonate at the chakra of the throat chakra of communication of your true voice. And the vibration coming right into your throat chakra, filling you with healing, allowing you to sing, allowing you to truly speak and sing your truth. It's the blue ray that we chant together as we chant the tone, ooh. Take a deep breath in. eye of wisdom, eye of gnosis, knowledge, doorway, arching down from heaven into our third eye, filling our third eye chakra with its divine and the high vibration. Vibrate pure light of the heavens, or the violet flame, pure royal purple, the undescribable light of God. As we chant and we feel the light not arcing down as before, but coming straight down from the heavens right into our crown chakra. Visualize that light. You can visualize the violet flame on top of our head, just flaming, reaching to the heavens. The light of God, thousand-petaled lotus. As we chant the tone of E, as in glee. Ourselves by going back down the chakras, going back to our third eye chakra. We chant throat chakra, the blue ray, solar plexus, the inner sun, the golden ray, with the tone Ah, the original Amen. Breathing in the solar ray, breathing out the solar sun. Back down to our second chakra, the sacral center. Center of creativity, passion. We resonate the orange ray, that creative orange sunset ray, with the tone, the mantra Om. Returning finally to our root chakra, the base of the spine, our root center, the red chakra and the red ray. You can imagine the red ray coming straight up from the earth, right into your root chakra, and it pulsating out of you, rooting you, grounding you, so that you can be in the world but not of it. Let's resonate together the red ray with the mantra, the tone of session. Hope you guys are enjoying this. We just did the toning the chakras with the fam.
Maybe I'll take that from you too. I should probably do it.
All right, so welcome to the final part of our evening. In the Gnostic Study Group, we want to talk about the different secrets and mysteries of some of these traditions, and so important, especially right now, is because 100 years ago, more or less, we would have been killed for these alternative ideas. In particular, some of these ideas about Jesus and Mary Magdalene as alternative version of Christianity, the secret Grail Church, the secret Church of the Holy Grail, the secret Church of Mary Magdalene. Even these Eastern traditions in the West, only until less than 100 years ago. Paramahansa Yogananda, when he came to America, he was ridiculed as a snake charmer. Mm-hmm. They called him like a snake charmer and like a magician, and that was the attitude. And there was a whole scandal in Yogananda's movement where they tried to say, oh, these Indian gurus are like hypnotizing our wives, and try to play like this almost like racist kind of denigration. All these Indian gurus are coming over and hypnotizing our white women. Well, see, that's a different spin on it. Yeah. On the one hand, yes, they were, because some of the gurus were hypnotizing and are charlatans. Actually, I'm trying to make the distinction between and that was like the mindset of like ultra white Christian America, So it's like when you think about
so charlatans versus real yogis, right?
Right. This esoteric wisdom is that it's the devil, right? It's all evil, like whether it's divination or astrology or in league with the devil or whatever.
Name calling.
Well, here's the thing. This wisdom isn't good or bad. The knowledge is power. It's how it's used. So you have people, and you even have governments, secret societies, secret organizations that are weaponizing Gnosticism, weaponizing the occult through rituals, that are using Gnostic wisdom to enlighten us, to free us from the material world, from the matrix, from the illusion that they're feeding us.
From our delusion.
Our own delusion.
Our delusion from the illusion that they're feeding the world, which is they're waiting for us when we're ready to really work. That's a lot to work through there, right? The mind is
right, trapped, and
you have to want to free yourself. You really do.
Right.
You really do.
Exactly.
Which means you got to suffer. You suffer first. You get a good dose, lots of doses of suffering, and you're like,
But the key thing to remember about all this is that whereas in Gnostic tradition, in all of the realms of Gnostic tradition, that suffering, that trial and error was completely okay. To figure it out, and you need to accept Jesus or you go to hell for eternity.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So what Gnosticism gives us, not somebody saving you, not the church, not some Messiah. You are, the Messiah isn't here or whatever, right? Because he teaches the saving teachings.
Right, he kind of leads you on the, which is already there waiting for you, but we will.
The way how to reach enlightenment, how to become a Christ. What we're getting into tonight actually is this archetype of the green man, the initiator, the fertility god, then dies every morning or dies every evening and is born again every morning. And it's that seasonal thing as well that we have every winter solstice. The days get shorter and shorter, right? December 25th it's like the shortest day of the year, and then all of a sudden spring comes and the days get longer again. It's that rebirth of the season, yearly season. So you have all these cycles. So Jesus and the Gnostic tradition, he is that same art. I'm saying so important is because we would have been killed for this stuff. We've been tortured and made to confess and then killed. Sometimes either way, whether we confess or not, right? Sometimes they make you confess the things that you didn't even believe, just because they wanted to.
Doesn't mean you're going to do it correctly all the time. You know?
Right, and this is right. They had many people that became just corrupt because they were killing so many people, right? How can you, Christians? You're supposedly a Christian. Your job is to torture other Christians.
Say force. You have to question what force means. It's like, well, your own consciousness, you know what I mean, like, and fear.
But you gotta think about back then, like if they didn't do that job, they were dead.
Killed, right?
Right.
So yeah,
there's a lot of power
that's
control.
A hard one, right?
I mean, back then, like life was way crazier. I mean, we take for granted some of our problems today, but like we've actually places it is right. In the Middle East, you have like people being beheaded still. Right? For little things.
In public?
Yeah. What they call, what's the word? The biblical word is, you know what I mean? Like when you're taking...
Adultery?
Adultery, yes.
Adultery.
You're committing adultery.
I don't know why it's called that.
If there's even a rumor that you've been committed adultery, sometimes
as soon as someone points a finger at you, you're toast.
Right, they'll cut your fingers off, cut your hand off for theft.
I mean,
like this shit really happens.
It's a little harsh, right? Like,
right.
It's like,
well, so this stuff happened, you know. So we gotta be grateful, like where we live, what time we're in, that we can talk about this Gnostic stuff.
We can share knowledge.
This is why I think that it's so important to have these Gnostic study groups. This is why I'm trying to do this. And so that's a little like, you know, Ram Navami is the celebration of Lord Ram. So legend from India, but it's transcended India. You find it in Bali, Indonesia, and Thailand, like most of Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka.
The Caribbean.
You have versions of the Ramayana all over the world, and it's variations sometimes. It's different in different regional locations, but it's this age-old story of good over evil. And Diwali is also associated with Ram, and it beat Ravana, the demon, good one over evil. And so we're celebrating with the lights, with the festival of lights and lighting all these candles. Well, Ram Navami is similar to that, in the sense that we're celebrating Ram and his. Let me just. So the epic story of good over evil, but it also carries the archetype that we all remember in the West, even though this story is common in Japan, but in the West we may have never heard of it before, right? We've never heard of the story of the Ramayana. So, but in the West we're familiar with the story of the armor has to go and rescue the princess, right? So this myth, this fairy tale that we're all familiar with, is the same age-old story of the Ramayana, where basically Sita is kidnapped by the demon Ravana, and Ram, the hero, he has to go on this epic adventure to save her and rescue her, slay the demon, and his allies and stuff, and they help, you know, and there's like gurus, and there's like of Shiva. Shiva wanted to take part in Ram's Leela, and so he's like, I'm going to incarnate as Hanuman. That way Krishna's come down to do one of his Leelas. So I want to be part of it, so I'm going to incarnate too. So that's Shiva, and he incarnates as Hanuman. So this age-old story of the Ramayana, the fairy tales, it actually is more deep on an archetypal level. If you get into like Jungian psychology, dreams. So Sita being kidnapped by the monster can also represent an adversary in some form or another. It could be your own like bad habits that are keeping you like stuck, right? It can manifest in many ways. It can manifest in an actual physical person in your life, or it can be one of your bad habits. So and it will happen throughout your life. What you'll find is that this story of the Ramayana, it repeats in multiple forms throughout your life. So you'll have, like when you were younger, you went through a cycle of the Ramayana, and you had your Hanumans came into your story. You had your Ravana came into your story. You had to rescue Sita, or you were Sita and you were rescued by some person came to my life and turned me on to this. And this led me to this. Kind of like we were talking about early, I took that psychedelic, had that experience, and it changed the trajectory of my life, right? And certain people started to come in my life. Hanuman started coming in. Sita represented me finding myself, right? And so Sita can represent your true love. It can represent your dream career, what you're meant to do in the that self-discovery of finding, God or a higher cause in your life. The Hanuman can be for whatever reason, bullying somebody, or you're like an adversary to somebody for whatever petty reason it is. Like maybe someone rubbed you the wrong way and you guys started hating on each other, right? You're a Ravana to them, or they're a Ravana. Always overcomes evil. So if you try to align yourself to the characters and the archetypes of these stories, and these stories are many myths, not just the Ram story, but many myths throughout all different cultures, are like resonate and connect with these characters, these more positive characters, and you start to identify the adversaries and the bits, and you start to learn the code to basically beat the matrix. So these are telling you the code of how to beat the matrix, that you're in it in repetitive cycles, and that it's similar to maybe another myth in another culture. Like
that
these stories,
patterns, you could unlock it and like figure it out.
These stories are like puzzles. That's why the tarot was like originally a game. That's why the Arthurians grail yourself. Robin Hood, like Snow White, all of these stories are coded. Mythos, the Green Man archetype, is very much one of those deep codes, one of those deep secret mystery teachings that we're observing, whether we realize it or not right now, because of the season. So the spring season rates the death and resurrection of Jesus, right? That story goes back to Osiris, Osiris is basically like the resurrected Christ, right? And this goes back to Dionysus, who was also like stripped in 2,000 pieces. And same with the Shiva story. There's a story where Shiva's walking naked in the Himalayas, just like intoxicated on ganja, and he's just blissed out singing. And there's like these Brahmins like doing fire bias, but all the wives of the Brahmin become like sexually agitated, and they're like, oh, he's so beautiful, and they start like following and chasing this beautiful naked Shiva, right? And like so the Brahmins get pissed, and they like kill Shiva, and and they like rip him into many different pieces. And so all the main lingas that you have 12, and these are all spread out all over India. The 12 main Jyotirlinga temples. They're super, super old temples, right? And it's the same idea of Shiva, his different body parts being spread to the far part and spread all over. And how did Isis, give birth? How did she resurrect Osiris? She brought all the pieces together, and she like made love to him, on his erect phallus. And what is the erect phallus in Egypt? Ancient Greece. And the Benben stone, the meteorite that fell from heaven of the ancient Egyptians. And then it's the same as the Elegbal stone of the ancient Syrian Edessan, which eventually went to Rome with Emperor Elegbalus. So this fertility cult, this is the same archetype. In ancient times, in Egypt, they would grow corn, and when the corn stalks would be ripe, and like a corn would stick out like an erect penis, right? Like, it's like cutting down Osiris, the green tree, right? And dismembering him, right? But then that first harvest of corn was like a sacrifice. You know what I mean? So it was like a renewal. It was the harvest festival. They were celebrating. We planted all this food, and now we're celebrating the harvest. So all these ancient agricultural fruits and vegetables, and they would, all their best fruits was the sacrificial harvest. And they would like dance and sing, and they would chant, and they would get intoxicated off of like wine and ganja and psilocybin, and they would just dance merrily and like have like a festival for the new year, basically, because it was spring had come,
If you
right?
made it through that cold winter and
Right.
you're still alive. So.
And everything was like blooming and green and flowers, and so you have Pan, the same like deity who's like a half goat, half man, and he's like plays his flutes, and he like leads people. He's like the Pied Piper, and he's like Peter Pan who leads the lost boys into Neverland. It's the same archetype as Kokopelli, who plays the flute. The same archetype as Christians everywhere. So it's the same like. And Dionysus, very much the same. They would drink wine, they would eat big feasts, and they would dance and play music, and it was like, and the whole phallic symbol and the idea of like growth and renewal, and and like the cutting down the harvest was like, you cutting down the God, the Christ had to be sacrificed, crucified, and then he was renewed on the third day. And it's the idea of that. This observance. So when we're celebrating spring, we don't even realize that we're still celebrating these ancient fertility rites. The Easter eggs, how these go back to an early story. Yes, Christ has risen, and he was like, no way. He didn't believe it. He said, Christ is risen as sure as that egg is red over there, because it was a white egg. As soon as he said it, the egg turned red. And so this idea in the ancient church, they would like paint red eggs, and they'd give them out during this time of the year. And so that became the Easter celebration of like resurrection, And some people will take it all literally, but a lot of it is metaphysical and metaphorical, and some of it is a literal truth. There is like historical truth to metaphorical. So like the resurrection of Lazarus, for example, Jesus bringing Lazarus back to life. Some have postulated that that's even today in like certain secret societies like the Freemasons, you go through a dying and resurrection ritual, and then you go into a coffin, or you go into a tomb or whatever, and you're like in there for like an hour or 3 hours, and it's so all these deities typically are depicted as green. Osiris is depicted as green, or Kidda, and he's like a mystical saint who can like appear and disappear at random, and he's like, he knows all the herbs and the magical potions, and he's like the green saint, and he's typically depicted green, even though in Islam they don't like to depict anyone, the saints, God, or Muhammad. You have Dionysus, medicine Buddha. Yes, very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. That's another aspect is representing the herbs. They're representing the bowl of light, representing spring, regeneration, grass, abundance, fertility, like nature. That's kind of what, because Tara and Buddha, they have many manifestations, right? There's infinite. Right? And you see like infinite Buddhas, and some of the Christian saints describe, you go to like the seventh heaven and you experience them where it's like, it's like a divine twin multiplying itself into infinity, right? And And so in the Buddhist tradition, yeah, like Buddha and Tara will have Shiva, you'll have Durga, Parvati, Lakshmi, different aspects of the god and goddess represented. And so for sure, the medicine Buddha and the green medicine Buddha, green Tara, is kind of like that same archetype here. Now, let's see. It was actually technically yesterday, today, depending on where you are in the world. Ram Navami is a Hindu festival that celebrates the birth of Lord Ram. The seventh avatar of the deity Vishnu to King Dasarath and Queen Kausalya in Ayodhya. This festival is part of the Chaitra Navratri of Chaitra, March-April, the first month in the Hindu calendar. So it's like the beginning of the year in the Hindu. Citing from the Hindu epic Ramayana, which narrates the tale of Rama. Vaishnava Hindus celebrate the festival by visiting temples, praying, fasting, listening to spiritual discourses, and singing bhajans or kirtans, which are devotional songs. Some devotees offer worship to Ram like an infant being organized. The festival is an occasion for moral reflection for many Hindus. Important celebrations on this day take place at Ayodhya, which is the birthplace and ancient kingdom of Ram, and numerous Rama temples all over India. In Ayodhya, many take a dip in the sacred river Sarayu and then visit the Rama temple. So this is, a very sacred time. Obviously, in the spring, like he's seen as like a green fertility god because he's born right in springtime, and his whole like celebration is kind of. And what's interesting about that is that some of the theories say that Jesus was actually solstice, as we talked about earlier. It's the shortest days of the year, right? And then on December 25th of spring officially is after the winter solstice. So that's why a lot of people believe, because it's like anciently that was the rebirth of the sun. The ancients saw that time of year as the rebirth of the sun, the annual birthday of the sun, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But some postulate that Jesus was maybe born in like March or April because he kind of represents that kind of spring archetype in every other way. And we don't know for certain like when his actual birthday is. But in the Orthodox tradition, they celebrate January 6th. So that's what I think I have for you guys. Let's see if there's any questions. In celebration of Ram, and then we're gonna end the stream. But yeah, do you have any questions?
Cold, but why would you want to switch its birthday to the 25th if it really was March something? For what purpose?
Well, they don't know. They don't know his birth, so it's like instead of trying to switch it to something, they just put it on because he was like the sun god. He was the son of God, and a lot of his symbolism was using the sun.
So you're thinking winter solstice, like the beginning.
They did it. They put it there because he was replacing, kind of associated at that time. So that's kind of.
So they were pagans back then.
I mean, the culture was pagan. In every way. Jerusalem and Galilee at that time, the world was Hellenized, that part of the world. So you had, and later it like becomes, Ethiopian Christianity because it was separated. Ethiopian Christianity. You had Celtic Christianity, right? That's Syriac Indian Christianity. And these groups were separated from the main Roman Church for hundreds of years. So they evolved in those areas, in those regions, and they developed their own unique form of Christianity. And then, like for example, in India, when the Portuguese came, they were horrified. They saw Christians, but they didn't like the Christian Catholicism, the Roman Catholicism. And the St. Thomas Christians resisted it, and some to this day submitting under the authority of Rome. And the Church of the East to this day is never unified with Rome. So you have different branches still to this day that never submitted to the authority of Rome. But then you have some that are in those areas that did. So you have some that still very much look at elements that are regional. And then you have some churches that are like, no, we're not officially, we don't hate you guys or anything, but we're not submitting to Rome, basically. But you have Greek influence, you have this Mithraic, Zoroastrian, even like Buddhist and Hindu influences. So this time in the world, in this area, you have all these influences from all these different areas and traditions. And that's, Christianity very much comes out of that, especially. Now, I think it's mainly because, the sun god worship around the winter solstice was so huge in Rome.
So replace it.
They had to at that point. Because that's what's interesting about Rome. Up until then, Rome was like, you can do whatever you want. You can have whatever. Roman religion. So that was the stipulation. Like you could be Jewish, you could be pagan, you could be.
But also salute the.
But also be part of the imperial Roman cult too, or at least salute allegiance to it, pay your taxes to it. Christians were persecuted in Rome. There's a great story about a fire and Nero, Emperor Nero, and it has to do with the early Christianity, the state religion. Or not even the state, the official religion of the Roman Empire. And then everywhere, they're starting to ban all these pagan religions and all the mystery cults. And even other Christian groups that didn't align with Rome's doctrine were also called heretics. So you have all these different groups, pagans, Gnostics, Christians, that didn't align with the heretics at this time. And it went on for like 1,700 years, basically. All over the world it's been going on. The Holocaust, like the Armenian genocide, ISIS destroying the Mandaeans, like what we were talking about earlier, their people were basically genocide and destroyed too. The Yazidi. So during that time, and they needed to replace the gods, Mithras, Sol Invictus, Dionysus, Isis, all of those gods that were prominent in Rome at the time. And only Jesus was God now, and they had their love of these traditions, so they had to make Christianity that day. And then later, Christmas came later. There was a point in Christianity where Christmas was illegal by the Roman Church. But later, in Rome, Saturnalia, the winter solstice the ancients were observing way back to Egypt, India. Then you have Rome becomes this great pagan nation, and they have Saturnalia during that winter solstice time. And then Christianity becomes the state religion.
A little switcheroo there, if you ask me.
Yeah. So, that's, but what it does, interestingly though, is for those with eyes and observances that we can participate in, their secrets are still there, hidden in front of most people's eyes. That will say, oh, you're trying to get back to your pagan roots, or you're celebrating Christmas. That's paganism, And some Christians will say that even though it's technically they're trying to celebrate Jesus' birthday, but having Santa Claus and all that extra stuff, that's paganism, right? So you have fundamentalists that will be like, no, that's paganism, and like you're into like Egyptian, the Ankh, that's paganism. Oh, you like the Reiki, that's the devil, like, so they make such an extreme because they don't realize that the truth, the esoteric, there's nothing, it's not good or bad, like the tarot, the wisdom of sex, the sexual rights, kundalini crystals, incantations, mantras, these aren't good or bad. It's how you use them. So the Christians, the fundamentalists, are saying, astrology is the devil. Jesus he's the great magician. He's the initiator. He's the fertility God, dying and resurrecting, teaching us the mysteries, initiating us into these sacred codes and patterns and gnosis, right? But because they're using it, the ones in control, they're using it to keep us controlled, keep us. They weaponize it. They try to. They fuel those Christians that say everything is the devil, because they want those people to be like that, and they want us to be fighting.
Somehow they benefit from us not knowing ourselves for who we
really
are.
Because they're fighting. We're fighting instead of coming together and using magic and vibration and these tools against them.
Right.
So
that we all have our separate houses, so we don't to hang out.
We don't own together as a nation and peace.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
We could all come. We could synchronize through social media today, and we could do like, a billion people meditating all at once. That's possible, and there has been some significant, huge, multi-million, even a billion people meditating. I don't know if a billion has happened yet, but there's been at least a couple million that have all synchronized and done these group mass meditations. So you can imagine, like, we can do that because we have the technology to do it. We have the knowledge, the technology, right? But those in control, they know this wisdom too, but they don't want us to do it because they want the Christian, the fundamentalists, Christians or Muslims, or us to be like.
They control the media. That's easy.
They want us to be fighting against them and afraid of the cops and afraid of.
Very easy to influence.
It's all about fear and control.
Well, and if you have control over the media, and most people, I don't know what the percentage is, but watch at least a few hours.
Feeding it, so that's that entrainment.
We don't
it's
know
like
that we don't
mass
know
hypnosis,
that.
right?
And so we think what we think is real. But really, we've been.
They're feeding you a narrative.
We don't know that we've been brainwashed until you start to see something else, and you start to feel something else, and you're like, oh wait, this is much more what feels right than that.
They don't want you to trust your intuition. That was part of the church's. You need the pastor. You need the church father, the priest. You need the church to intercede for you. That's what they tricked us for thousands of years. And some is that we have the wisdom within us. We have the knowledge within us. We have access to all the truth and control, manipulation, the matrix, the simulation, whatever you want to call it. And you can actually start to live your best life, live your truth, live your dreams, co-create with the divine, and Hey. I'm going to do one more chant. We're going to end this stream. I hope you guys have been enjoying this. I wanted to end on this because I remember reading this earlier and it was so powerful. It's a golden link in the chain of my good. For all men are God in manifestation, awaiting the opportunity given by man himself to serve the divine plan of his life. Bless your enemy, and you rob him of his ammunition. His arrows will be transmuted into blessings. This law is true of nations as well as individuals, robbed of its power to harm. So it's like, that's the power of that manifestation, that good intention, that prayer, that sending blessings. You can bless a whole nation. Imagine if, as a nation, we blessed other nations, and like their weaponry and their antagonism and their hate or their whatever, their animosity from one country to the next could be dissolved through one more final chance. So yeah, we are definitely we're empowered. We just don't even realize how powerful we are. We're gonna do in the key of
Patita